The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. They brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, $50 in bonus funds. Use the promo code SGPN. And welcome everybody to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Wednesday morning, early Wednesday morning, around midnight Eastern Time here on August 27th. I'm your host, always, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Long episode coming up. We do have the second round preview of the U.S. Open. So we're going to break down some of the matches, not all, obviously, because that would take way too long, but a bunch of matches to get into, so I'll talk about them in a second. Before we get to that, though, a brief recap of what happened for the last two episodes for the Lock and Dog, because we had the first round for the men's and the women's U.S. Open. So we're going to recap those picks in a second. Before that, though, a reminder that you can support the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube, and a reminder you can also find the podcast on Spotify and Apple. If you want the audio format only, you can find it there. But don't forget to leave a rating and a review on Spotify and Apple. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Pause reminder to check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great tennis stuff. We have shirts, sweatshirts, and mugs, high quality, very affordable. Check out the, once again, merch that we have for the Tennis Gambling Podcast on the merch store. Plus a reminder that for the actual network, we are still doing a lot of discounts right now on the merch store. Football's back, so is our amazing merch sale. 25% off everything in the merch store by using the promo code FOOTBALL. So check out, once again, all the content that we have for the Tennis Gambling Podcast and get the 25% discount with the code FOOTBALL at checkout. Plus, a reminder, we have a Survivor contest, and you could enter it, $100 entry, winner take all, at sportsgambling.com/survivor. Plus, a reminder that if you are new to Splash Sports, you get a promo code FINALS for a $10 credit. So once again, don't forget to sign up for the Survivor contest and use the promo code FINALS if you're new for a $10 credit. Anyway, starting off with the Lock and Dog recap. Overall decent. Gave out 4 plays. Ended up splitting. We won 1 lock, we lost 1 lock, and we ended up winning 1 dog and losing 1 dog. So for the women's episode, for starters, won the lock easily. We had Zakharova to cover the spread, -2.5 at -130. Closed to 3.5, didn't matter, as she won in straight sets. Nice and easy for her. For the dog picked up a loss, we had Ostapenko and Wang over 2.5 sets at +140. Ostapenko won the first set, then Wang immediately went up a break in the second set, and then lost 5 games in a row. So Wang fell apart after getting the break to start the second set, but either way, though, picked up a loss there as Ostapenko won in straight sets. For the men's show, did okay once again, ended up losing the lock handily. We had Bublik and Cilic over 39.5 games at -110. Not even close. Bublik killed the damn man. You're looking at Cilic, who we thought would come out serving pretty well. He did not. He couldn't buy a first serve for most of the match, but Bublik, after the month of layoff, looked as good as he did pre-layoff on clay. Bublik was incredible. I got nothing else to add. He got a bunch of balls back in terms of returns. He ended up serving well. He did not get broken in the entire match, but you could tell early on Cilic was going to have some problems, and he did. He had a bunch of problems as Bublik buried him. So Russ was not a factor, and Bublik looks like he's right now a top 15 player in the world, and Bublik looks really, really poised for a potential deep run here in the U.S. Open. But nice job by Bublik once again to sabotage us, but to win in straight sets in the process. For the dog, though, nice and easy. We had Lloyd Harris to win the first set and the match against Baez at +110. He won in straight sets. Baez, we know, is useless on hard court. Harris, I know, can be pretty painful to watch because he is kind of a serve bot in a way. But Harris got the job done. His firepower did the job against Baez. He broke more than you might have thought. And you're looking at Harris, who, truth is, didn't serve as dominantly as I thought he would. But it didn't matter. Baez hurt his foot in the third set anyway, and Harris coasted to a nice straight set win. So +110 winner there. We split, once again, with a break-even exactly on the men's show because the lock was -110. The dog was a +110. But once again, overall an okay first round. We'll once again get into the second round matches in a second. First of all, though, we do have to recap what happened in the actual first round in greater depth. So for the women's quickly, not going to spend too much time on it. You did not really have many shocking upsets, besides Keys, who hit 89 unforced errors in her match. 89 unforced errors. She is added to the clown list. On top of that, I also have to mention Collins, who ended up winning 2 games and ended up losing in her first round match. She was already on the clown list, but she might move up a few spots. Kvitova ended up retiring after losing. She only won 1 game. Perry buried her in her final career match, which was kind of upsetting. And then for the shocker, I'd say besides Keys, you had Mboko, who actually took to have a decent run here, and to win the event, who lost to Grand Slam Krejcikova handily, only winning 5 games in the process. I'd say that the Keys upset and that one with Mboko was probably the 2 most shocking upsets on the card. Collins losing was a surprise by that margin especially, but we know Collins' best game or best days are behind her in her pro career, and there you go. As for the men's side, as you can tell, I have Medvedev in the subheader here. I'll get into that in a second in greater detail, but getting into the actual matches in order, Fokina beat Shevchenko. You saw Mensik beat Jari in straight sets. Speaking of clowns, damn Jari couldn't hit a second serve return to save his life. You're looking at Rinderknech, who beat Baina in 4 sets. I saw Shelton beat Buse in straight sets. Morozenwals, bit of an upset there. Besides that, George won a set. Good for him, still lost in 4. Manarino beat Griekspoor in straight sets. He looks really good. Won with a bagel in the final set, so nice job by him. Besides that, Kim ended up beating Quinn. Busta won. Happy to see him healthy again. Beat Llamas Ruiz in straight sets. You saw Moutet lose. I know he had an illness, I believe, that was affecting him later on in the match. But Moutet can fake injury stuff all the time. Thompson, nice job by him, winning in 4. Giron won the first epic of the day, as he blew a 2-set lead, including a 6-0 first set, to make it 2-2. Then Giron eventually survived and won the 5th. So nice job by him. Nagashima won the first Super Breaker of the event as he beat De Jong in 5. Fun matchup, 110-7 in the breaker, so nice job by him. Djokovic looked good for the most part, did win 2 sets comfortably, had an injury scare in the second set. Then against Joker, we're kind of used to seeing that, and either way he won in straight sets against Tien. And you had the Medvedev match, which I'll mention in a second, but Medvedev did lose. Once again, I will save the recap in greater depth after I get into the other couple days of recap. So Wong beat Kovacevic. Korda got injured. What else is new? I ended up dropping out of Winston-Salem with an illness. Then without an illness, he actually just hurt himself in terms of his back, and he ended up quitting as Nori was up 2-0, and Korda said no mas, and he ended up quitting. You had Dam, who ended up beating Blanche in the Young American battle in straight sets. Harris beat Baez, so Walton beat Humbert. Been a really bad run for Humbert lately. Hopefully he can turn it around to end the season, and hopefully once again he can turn it around on the hard court slate either at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, because we made some money on him in the past, but we weren't taking him because we knew that he was in bad form. Nice job by Walton, who has wins over Medvedev and Humbert over the last couple of weeks. Fonseca beat Kekmanovic in straight sets. It was embarrassing that Kekmanovic did not win a single set there. Blew chance after chance. He was up, I believe it was 5-2 in the first set, choked it. Then he was up 5-2 in the breaker of the second set. He choked that too. And then he ended up losing the third set 6-3. So Kekmanovic lost in straight sets. Draper beat Gomez in 4. Besides that, you saw Mickelson, the American guy, lose in 4 to Comasagna. Comasagna, I like, good young player. He was able to look sharp over the last 3 sets against Mickelson. Caboli survived Pizarro in an Italian battle that went 5. Nice win for him. Shane got injured again, lost to Bellucci in basically 3.5 sets. Damn shame. It's really just a shame that Shane can't stay healthy, because Shane's a good player. He won a title, I believe it was last year, and we like him. He just can't stay healthy as he got injured again. Brooksby beat Vukic in 5. Fun matchup there. Munard beat Faria in 4. Rune beat Dzanchop in straight sets, so Dzanchop went back-to-back losses against Vuksovic in the championship match of Winston-Salem, and then a loss to Rune in 3. You saw Tiafoe beat Nishioka in 3. Majcik beat Delian in 4. Surprised Delian won a set there. But nice job by Majcik, to win in 4. Struff beat McDonald. Besides that, you saw Bosvaretti win the first set against Kachanov. Then Kachanov won the next 3. Prismic lost to Rublev. You saw Diallo beat DeZumer in 4. Alcaraz beat Opelka in straight sets. So look at today's action, or I should say Tuesday's action. Musetti beat Perricard in 4. Nice job by Perricard. Went 4 full sets against Musetti without forcing a single break point. Serve bot activities, congratulations. 0 break points against Musetti That's pretty tough to do. Anyway, Shapo beat Vuksovic in straight sets. Vuksovic got injured, lost the third set in a bagel. Not exactly a surprise. He won Winston-Salem. We know he's had injury issues, and he immediately got hurt against Shapo, but still a nice job by Shapo to take care of business. Cerundolo won an epic against Arnaldi, lost the first two sets, went 5. Feels like every Arnaldi Grand Slam match goes 5, and Cerundolo got the job done there, so nice job by him. Goffin beat Hallis in 4. Nice job by Goffin after a really bad form run entering the event to beat Hallis. A nice job there. So Rusevori comeback, ended up losing a Papyrin in 3. Bublik, like I said before, dominated. Looking at the other stuff, Sinner lost 4 games. He buried Capriva and was basically a bye. Mochizuki ended up winning against Gaston in straight sets. Nice job of the qualifier to win comfortably. You had the match of the round probably between Altmaier and Medjedovic, as every single set out of the first 4 went 7-5 or 7-6. 3 straight tiebreak sets, but it ended up going 5 sets, went almost 5 hours, and Altmaier did win the final set 6-4. Nice job by him. You saw Sonego lose the first 2 sets to School Kate, won the next 2 sets 6-1, up a break in the 5th. Classic Sonego choked it, and he ended up losing in the Super Breaker 10-6. Tsitsipas ended up beating Moore in 4. O'Connell lost against de Minaur in straight sets. Monfils lost again, maybe his last U.S. Open. Did lose to Safulin in 5. Fernley beat Agut in 4, and that's basically it. So, once again, decent amount of drama and straightforwardness, but either way, you had an upset or 2, nothing too extreme. The main guys are still in the event, besides one guy who I separated, Medvedev. Now, this is going to be a lot to unpack. I know we're at the 11-minute mark, not going to spend too much time on it, but still have to mention how crazy the match actually was. So, Medvedev was getting killed again by Bonzi as he lost to him in Wimbledon, as a reminder, in the first round. He was down 2-0, did not break Bonzi a single time. Then Bonzi was serving for the match in the 3rd set. And then it was a match point at advantage, and a cameraman ran onto the court after a fault. So they told the cameraman to get off, and Bonzi did not actually toss the ball up to serve. He was dribbling. And yet the chair umpire said, you know what? It disrupted his motion. We're going to give Bonzi another first serve. And Medvedev lost his damn mind. So Medvedev started yelling at the chair umpire. He got the crowd into it, and it resulted in about a 7-minute delay of the crowd screaming every time Bonzi tried to serve. So that resulted in a massive delay. Medvedev fought off the match point, broke, won the 3rd set. At this point, we have chaos on our hands, because Medvedev was dead to rights. The crowd got involved, because the chair umpire, in my opinion, made a pretty, I'd say, brutal decision. It just was a second serve. You didn't have to give him a first serve there. It didn't impact the second serve delivery. He was dribbling a tennis ball. It wasn't that big of a deal. But anyway, point is the chair umpire's reaction to the situation resulted in chaos in this actual stadium. Medvedev won the 3rd set, then won the 4th set 6-0. Bonzi hurt his foot, so he couldn't really move that well. Medvedev went up a break immediately in the 5th set. Got broken. He broke again. Ended up getting broken back again. Then Medvedev had, I believe it was 5 break points midway through the 5th set. In the 3-3 game, he had love 40, blew 5 break points. Then Medvedev's hand started cramping in his final service game at 4-5. He got broken, and he lost the damn match. Medvedev invented a way to lose a match twice, and it was gifted to him on a platter. Against an injured opponent, Bonzi couldn't serve. He was jumping maybe 2 inches off the ground. His first serve was about 98 miles per hour, and Medvedev still lost. He still lost the damn match. So updating the Medvedev Grand Slam record so far this season. He beat a random no-name guy in the first round of the Australian Open in 5 sets. He lost to Tien in the 2nd round. That is the only time he reached the 2nd round in the entire season in a Grand Slam. Lost in the French Open to Norrie. Lost in Wimbledon to Bonzi. Lost in the U.S. Open to Bonzi again. Medvedev in the Grand Slams this season was 1-4. Disasterland. That's what I describe Medvedev's current state. He shattered a racket or 2 when he sat down after the match. It's been rough for Medvedev. I don't know if he's going to play the rest of the season. We'll see. He's had multiple rock bottoms. I'd say losing to Bellucci in Rotterdam was up there too earlier this year. But Medvedev might have to fire his coach. He might have to take some time off. His wife left early from the match. It was just, I'd say, depressing to actually watch him implode like that. Medvedev, though, has not been right for a couple of years. If you remember the clay title that he won, the Random 1000 title that he won a couple of years ago on clay, final title he's ever won. Think about that. It's been 2.5 years. The last title Medvedev won was the clay title about 2.5 years ago. It has been a rough go of it for Medvedev. So will we see him again in the near future? I don't know. But he's been really, really bad, and that was definitely the cherry on top. Him blowing the match to an injured guy who couldn't serve after breaking him twice in the fifth set. Anyway, Medvedev, that's why I have the laughing emoji there. It's warranted. Medvedev fell apart. Nice job by Bonzi, though. Real talk, though. To keep his composure. Thought after the 6-0 he might retire from the matchup, but nice job by him to keep his composure, find a way to survive, and he was able to advance into the second round. Anyway, 15 minutes in or so, it's going to recap the first round of the U.S. Open. Time to move on into the actual preview of the second round matches. Before we get into that, the reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is MyBookie at ADG. It's using to bet on football, bet on college football, of course, the NFL. Fun fact, by the way, college football games on Thursday this week. There are a bunch of games, so it should be pretty fun watching college football. But either way, MyBookie does have a brand new super contest, $100K, only $15 entry. They're offering two. Once again, if you buy 2 entries, you get 1 free. So nice bonus deal there if you enter their super contest. Also use a ton of locations. Use crypto for deposits and payouts. When you sign up for your new account, use code SGPN for a 100% bet back bonus up to $500. Once again, 100% bet back bonus up to $500 for new customers. I'm looking at the G promo code SGPN. We're also brought to Rhythm because they have a lot of great model options for the NFL, for college football. They have, of course, baseball. They have golf. They have really a bunch of sports that you could think of. So check out Rhythm. They also have WNBA props, which have been very good so far this season. And a reminder that for the NFL, you could also use them for player props. They were great for players last season, in particular, Tyreek Hill, 13-5 on the prop for Hill, 31% ROI. Check out different sports that the Rhythm has for MLB, for WNBA, golf, and college football. Go to the site today, start building your models for week 1. And a reminder, don't forget to get the free trial for a week that we have with the promo link with Rhythm. Use the link sportsgamblers.com Rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the first round. Time to move on into the second round matches. So, starting off in a random order. Starting off with the first match we'll talk about. We're going to go with Lehecka against Etcheverry for this one. So, Lehecka, decent favor, about minus 350. You have Etcheverry at plus 280. For the spread, around minus 5.5 for Lehecka. You can find 4.5, though. That's with some juice. Etcheverry plus 5.5 is minus 125. The over-under in games at 37.5. Now, for the first round, Etcheverry had a very easy opponent, Ugo Carabelli, who's been good this season. Still mostly a clay specialist, if not entirely a clay specialist. So a favorable draw for Etcheverry there. Lehecka dropped a set to George, then he settled in, and he won the next 3 sets. Now, we saw Lehecka look decent in Cincinnati, ended up losing to Shelton. We saw Etcheverry go to Cincinnati as well, lost to Felix in straight sets. Point is, though, Lehecka should win. Head-to-head's in favor of Etcheverry, as he is 2-1 in a lifetime, but every meeting was on clay, and we know that Etcheverry's best surface is clay. I think Lehecka wins probably in 4. I don't mind the Lehecka to win the match. Both players to win a set prop. I think that's a pretty good way of picking Lehecka to have a slip-up, but to still win anyway. I think that's the way I'd go about it personally. As all of you know, it's one of my favorite props to take in Grand Slam tennis. Lehecka, though, if you want to go for that prop, you can find him to win, and both players to win a set at around plus 132. I like it. I think he's better on hardcourt, better serve. I think he'll win this one in 4. Moving on to the next matchup. We're going to go to we'll do the Djokovic one, actually, against Svaja. So massive favorite here. Joker's about minus 1,100. Svaja's around plus 700. For the spread, I see 7.5, plus 102 for Joker, and of course minus 120 for Svaja. For the over-under in games, I see around 30.5, give or take. Set spread, Djokovic in straight sets is minus 120. Svaja to win a set is minus 110. Svaja's been good lately. He's kind of been sneaking under the radar, been great in challengers, and has been carrying over recently, as he ended up making it through qualifying in the U.S. Open without dropping a set. Beat Piros then in the first round in straight sets as well. Joker looked good. We know that he had not played a single singles match since Wimbledon, lost in doubles with Danilovic in the first match. And then he showed up against Tien, looked good, had an injury issue, but got through it. So the real question is, will Svaja win a set or not? I think that looking at the actual matchup, I think Svaja has a path here if Joker does have an injury that acts up. In reality, it's going to come down to Joker. If he's fully healthy, he's winning in straight sets. If he's not, Svaja's taking a set. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. If you want to go for the spread, I don't mind considering maybe Svaja plus the games at 7.5. You could argue that even a bunch of 6-4s, you still end up covering. So there is a chance Joker wins in straight sets, has one tough set, which might swing the spread entirely in Svaja's favor. I'll go with Joker in straight sets. I just think that he's the better player by a mile, obviously. Svaja's been sneaky good, not really a great server, and I think Joker will be able to return well against him. So my prediction here is a close straight set win for Joker. Maybe a breaker in there. We know Tien got to a breaker in the second set. But I do think that Joker wins. If Svaja won a set, would I be surprised? No. Will he win more than a set? No. I'm going to say no. I think Joker wins in 3 or 4, but give me 3 for what I think is a decent price. Anyway, moving on to the next matchup. We are going to skip a couple because we do have some plays we're going to save for the lock and dog. Spoiler, a couple parlays that I have for the lock and dog. Next one, we'll go to the Bonzi match against Giron. I tweeted about this match actually earlier today. As Bonzi, I mentioned earlier, is off a marathon where he got injured against Medvedev and somehow survived. Giron survived too, choking a 2-set lead, and he won in 5 against Navone. And for the pricing, basically a pick'em on the books, as it's about minus 110 apiece. Now, for the actual pricing, you're looking at Giron, who's minus half a game. You're looking at Bonzi, who's plus half a game. The over-under is at 38.5. For the over 3.5 sets, minus 200. Under is plus 150. The 4.5 sets, the over is plus 195. For set spread, you have Giron straight sets at plus 153. You have Bonzi minus 1.5 sets at plus 180. Now, for the matchup itself, we know Giron was in really, really bad form. He had actually not won a match since Wimbledon. He beat Ugo Carabelli, then lost to Mensik, went to hard court, and lost every match he played. Lost to Munar in straight sets, lost to Manarino in straight sets, lost to Blocks in 3, lost to Navone in Winston-Salem, got revenge against Navone in the U.S. Open. He's been really bad. Now, Bonzi's been good. Ended up having a good run in Cincinnati, as he ended up beating Tsitsipas, beat Musetti, beat Arnaldi, lost to Felix, but eventually did end up beating Medvedev in 5. The real story comes down to the injury. If you're looking at Bonzi being healthy, I would pick him. But if Bonzi was fully healthy, he wouldn't be a dog to Giron. So it feels like the odds makers have, I'd say, priced in the potential fatigue and injury to Bonzi, and that is why Giron's favored here. I like the over. I think you'll see a tough match. The question is, do I think Bonzi physically can handle another war? I'm going to say no. I think we know Giron's not a great player, but he's still known for being a rallier, not a lot of firepower. His game plan should be to keep the match as long as possible and to try to make this a war of attrition. That's what he should do, especially on the outdoor courts here in New York in August. Could get hot. So I don't mind the strategy of Giron making the match extremely physical, trying to wear down Bonzi. We'll see if Bonzi has anything left in the tank, because the serving in the 5th set was problematic, even though he won. Got broken twice. 90-plus mile per hour first serves, couldn't reach 100. It's not ideal. Now, he had a couple days off because it is 3 days for the first round. We'll see if he can turn it around. But I do think you're looking at Giron, who would be the play for me. I tweeted about it, saying that I would have to consider taking Giron at 120, but I was still thinking about it. I decided not to take it as a lock or dog because I don't trust Giron enough, and if Bonzi's healthy, I still think he would win this matchup. But in reality, I don't trust really either guy right now. Giron's been terrible. He blew a 2-set lead. He survived anyway. But Bonzi looked really good before the injury against Medvedev. He survived, but is he fully healthy? Nobody knows. I'll go with Giron. I would bet this on a book, though, that grades retirements as wins. So keep that in mind. There's a bit of a stipulation there. Bonzi might quit in the match if he's not feeling it. We'll see. But if this goes 4 or 5, I think there's some value on Giron, and if you want to make the argument once again for my signature play here on the show, Giron to win and both players to win a set, you can find at plus 182. The problem is that Bonzi's really hurt, he might not win a set, but I do think Bonzi should win a set anyway, because Giron might punt the set to him, because he has been punting sets left and right for the last month or two. I'll go with Giron. Will I bet this? Maybe, but right now I'm kind of on the fence. I might live bet it personally. But I don't mind Giron to win. Both players want to set there at plus 182, picking a marathon either way, going in favor of the more fit player. Moving on to the next matchup. Going to look at the matchup between. Where do we want to go for this one? We'll go with Rinderknech against Fekina in this matchup. So Rinderknech has been playing better recently, but we know Fekina, when healthy, has been good. He'll choke in every big match, but luckily in the second round of the US Open, not exactly a big match. So Fekina is minus 450, Rinderknech is plus 350. For the spread, minus 5.5 for Fekina, plus 5.5 for Rinderknech. The over-under is at 36.5. Set spread, you have Fekina in straight sets at around plus 140. You have Rinderknech to win a set at minus 185. The over 3.5 sets is minus 145. Now, the head-to-head, they have faced off before, faced off one time on hard court in Marseille. It was 4 years ago, but still. And Rinderknech won in 3. It wasn't his home country in France. It was 4 years ago. Can't really use it, but the point is Rinderknech did win in their only meeting. Fekina, though, had a nice easy win against Shevchenko, who was really bad, and he buried him immediately, and it was over quickly. You saw Baena give Rinderknech a run for his money, but you ended up seeing Rinderknech win in 4. Now, for the matchup in itself, I think Fekina is going to win. I think he's a better player, but we know Rinderknech has a very good serve. It's really the best part of his game. And we know Fekina's serve can be very, very streaky, and when it's off, it can be really ugly. I think I like Fekina in 4 again. Broken record. I feel like you're looking at what should be a bit of a competitive matchup where Fekina just has more variety, more skill, and more speed. I think the court coverage is going to help him out for this one. So if you want to go back to my bread and butter again with the Fekina to win, both players to win a set, you can take that as well. He's minus 410, so once again, you can find a better price by going with the combo play. You can get that at plus 136. I like it. It's not available to you. I like the over 3.5 sets at minus 145. Think that Rinderknech is good enough with his serve to win a set, not much more, and in my opinion, not less. So give me Fekina in 4 as my prediction for that matchup. Moving on to the next match here. This one's going to be between a Blanchett and Mensik. So Mensik had a nice win against Jarry in straight sets. You're looking at it being minus 500 here. Blanchett had a very nice win in the first round. He's plus 380. For the spread, you have minus 6.5 for Mensik, plus 6.5 for Blanchett. For the over-under, I see 35.5. So you're looking at Mensik. Will he win in straight sets or not? He's plus 117 to win in straight sets, and Blanchett's minus 150 to win a set. And the over 3.5 sets is minus 125. Now, Mensik, said before, he looked good against Jarry. Left the door open a couple of times, but Jarry is so, I'd say, unforced error prone, it didn't matter. As for Blanchett, went through qualifying. He looked quite good in qualifying as well, as he only dropped one set. Then he beat Morozin in 4. Never played in the head-to-head, but you're looking at Mensik, who we know can be a bit of a head case at times, can drop some sets. Blanchett's, I think, intriguing in this matchup. I'm not saying he's going to win, but we ended up seeing Mensik lose in a previous Grand Slam to Rocha when he was like a minus 2,000 favorite, up 2-0. We've seen Mensik choke in Grand Slams before when being up 2-0. I think Blanchett could hang around. I don't mind the spread here at 6.5. I think you're looking at Blanchett who could force a breaker, maybe even win a set. I'm not telling you that Mensik's guaranteed to win in straight sets here. And we know that even though he won in Miami, the 1,000 title, since then he's been pretty up and down. And I think you're looking at a spot where Mensik can still win this match while not covering the spread. Give me the dog here, plus the games. I think 6.5 is a little bit too disrespectful to Blanchett. I'll go with him in this one, plus 6.5 at around minus 130. Moving on to the next matchup that we are going to talk about. What do we want to talk about here? We'll go with Thompson against Mannarino in a pretty fun, I'd say, throwback match from the veterans. So for this one, Mannarino's favored, as Mannarino is around minus 190, give or take. I see a 180, though, available. For the actual money one for Thompson, I see plus 155. For the spread, minus 3.5 for Mannarino, and even money, plus 3.5 for Thompson at minus 120. The over-under games at 37.5. The over 3.5 sets is minus 170. Under 3.5 sets is plus 132. Set spread, you have Mannarino minus 1.5 sets at plus 105. You have Thompson plus 1.5 sets at minus 135. So Mannarino looked great, ended up beating Griekspoor in straight sets. He was also good in Cincinnati, as he ended up beating Thompson in straight sets, so a bit of an immediate rematch there. Beat Makic in straight sets, beat Paul in 3, and even gave Sinner a run for his money. Did lose in straight sets, but you know what? He lost 6-4, 7-6. Not too shabby against healthy Sinner on hard court. Now, as for Thompson, He's been injured, which is a pretty, I'd say, normal story for him because he's mixing singles and doubles with his schedule. But he ended up getting injured in Wimbledon. He retired against Fritz, came back, played against Mannarino in his first match back, lost handily, beat Moutet in the first round. I think Mannarino's going to win, even though the head-to-head has actually been pretty close. And Thompson has been good on the hard court against Mannarino, as he has won 2 of the last 3 meetings, so keep that in mind. But the point is, I think Mannarino's form right now is better. I know Moutet was in pretty decent form as he was in, once again, he was beating Medvedev in DC. He had some decent showings, but he had some illnesses. We know that Moutet, since he can't serve, is always going to get into some trouble if he runs into a guy who's kind of serving well that day. And Thompson was. I think Mannarino wins this. I think it'll be close. Broken record again, Mannarino in 4 or 5. This could go 5. It wouldn't totally shock me. I'm not going to immediately dismiss Thompson as being basically fish food for Mannarino. I think it'll be close. I think Thompson's game with his volleying can help shorten the points. But we know Thompson is a bit of a short fuse. And the fact is that Mannarino can tap into that by keeping every rally along, by being a wall he has been for the last couple of weeks especially. I think he'll eventually wear down Thompson physically and mentally over the course of this matchup. But based on the head-to-head success Thompson's had recently on hard court, I think that the matchup they had in Cincinnati is going to cause people to really just slam Mannarino in this one because they just played, he buried him. It was his first match back since Wimbledon. I think Thompson will look significantly better, obviously, in that first round. I'll chalk the first one up to rust. I think the rematch will be closer. Even Mannarino in 4 or 5. But I think he wins, so that's kind of my thoughts for that one. Moving on to the next match. Do I want to stay with anything else for this day? Should I move on into, you know what, I'll do one more for the card on Wednesday. So Struff is taking on Rune, which is kind of a fun matchup on paper. For this one, you have Rune at minus 320. You have Struff at around plus 250. For the over-under, I see 38.5. For the spread, I see Rune minus 4.5 at minus 115. I see Struff plus 4.5, minus 105. The over-under in sets is minus 160 on the over 3.5 sets. Rune minus 1.5 sets around minus 145. Struff plus 1.5 sets is plus 113. If you wanted to go 5 sets, that is available at plus 240. So, faced off one time before. It was on clay in Struff's home country, Germany, in Munich last year, and Struff did win in straight sets. Rune beat Zanschulp in 3. Struff ended up beating McDonald in 4. McDonald, though, physically was not exactly in great form, as he had a marathon win against Holt in Winston-Salem, then had a marathon loss against Darderi, came in, and he ended up losing to Struff, so not exactly in good form. Struff, though, went to qualifying, beat Kaza, ended up beating Daniel, and ended up winning his first qualifying matchup as well. So, point is, we know Struff's been really bad this season as a whole, but the fact is, he does look better on these courts in the U.S. Open. Do I think he was good enough to win this matchup? Personally, no. I think Rune's better, and I think that Rune's shot, I'd say, variety will eventually wear down Struff. But Struff can shorten the points with a certain volley game, so for this one, I think it'll be close. I'll go with the over. I think he'll get 4 sets, but I do think that Rune ends up winning. I'll put it this way. I think Rune winning in straight sets is more likely than Struff in my opinion, winning 2 sets in this matchup. I'm not going to overreact to Struff's recent form, even though he's been terrible for this entire season. He beat McDonald, who physically has not been in great form recently. Rune looked good against Zanschulp, even though he did kind of choke away a massive lead in the 3rd set. He righted the ship. He won the breaker. But still, I think Rune is just much better. Give me Rune minus 1.5 sets here at minus 145 is my main thought for that match. Moving on to the Thursday card. We're missing some lines, but we'll do the best of what we have. So starting off with the first matchup for this one, let me see what lines we actually have for the card here on Thursday. Going to Draper against Bergs. Now, Draper ended up dropping a set to Gomez, but he was able to get the job done there in 4. Bergs ended up winning in 3 against Sang, who's more of, I'd say a clay guy mostly. I mean, Sang was great in juniors, not great on the regular level ATP. But either way, Bergs was not in great form entering the event. Lost to Lajal in straight sets and a challenger. Lost to Sonigo in straight sets in Cincinnati. So he ended up beating Sang, but let's be real, Sang's not really worth much on hard court. Draper ended up winning against Gomez, and Gomez had a very miraculous comeback there in the final round of qualifying against Grenier, as he got the job done there. Crazy match as he won in 3. But Draper hadn't played since Wimbledon. Draper's better than Bergs. Bergs' serve is a problem. His first serve percentage is a mess. So Draper can have a bunch of free looks at second serves, and I think that's going to result in a bunch of breaks for him in this one. I think Draper wins in straight sets. Draper, for what I've noticed over the last couple of Grand Slams, not a great first round guy when it comes to straight set wins, but I think he'll look sharper this time around. Bergs' serve really is a problem, and you can get Draper to win in straight sets at plus 117. I like the value on that. I understand Bergs can be dangerous at times, decent ground strokes, but recently, not cutting it. If you want to go back to the grass season too, ever since he made the final and lost to Diallo, he's been a mess. And that was actually, I believe, his second win since then. It's been ugly. So give me Draper in straight sets. Think he'll go up early. Think Bergs will mentally check out. And Draper does take it in 3. Looking at some other matchups here, I'll go to what could be the most competitive matchup on the day. We'll see. You have Caboli taking on Brooksby. For this one, Caboli's about minus 145. Brooksby's around plus 125. The over-under is at 38.5 games. For the spread, I see minus 2.5 for Caboli, plus 2.5 for Brooksby. Now, for the actual, I'd say, performances in the first round, both guys had serious scares. They both won 5 sets. You ended up seeing a really, really competitive matchup between Caboli and Pissarro, which was a bit surprising, but he still won in 5. Vukic, I thought, would actually give Brooksby some trouble, even though I thought Brooksby would win. Vukic has been really bad lately, but we know Brooksby can't serve. So you're looking at Vukic. If the serve's on, I thought he'd win a set or two, and he did, but eventually he ran out of gas, and Brooksby beat him in the 5th set. But the face-off one time before, it was on clay 3 years ago. Brooksby won in straight sets. Does it matter? Not really. Crowd will be behind Brooksby because he's American, but we know Caboli's a better player because he's ranked within the top 30. So for this one, I think it's really a coin flip. I understand Caboli's a better player. Do I trust him mentally to handle Brooksby? Honestly, no. I don't feel great about it. I know Ottman made a great run in Cincinnati, and he ended up beating Caboli in a 3rd set breaker there. Caboli, though, I question the mental toughness, and he can be very expressive in a negative way when he's on court. If things go poorly and Brooksby's able to go wall mode, show the variety, show the, I'd say, constant effort, I do think he'll be able to frustrate Caboli and force this match into deep waters. Now, I think Caboli is the more talented player, but I think it's going to be very close. I think I actually don't mind going for the 5-setter. If you want to go for the over 4.5 sets plus 195, it's a bit cheap, but I get it. I think you're looking at Brooksby, who should keep this match close. I think Caboli's, once again, got more firepower. He's the better server. But Brooksby is nothing to overlook. He's a solid player in general, and I do think he can frustrate Caboli the same way Ottman did in Cincinnati. So for me, give me a marathon. I think we'll see a 5-setter again, and I think you're going to end up seeing this one take a really long time. This one, in my opinion, could get over 4 hours. We'll see. But give me the 5-setter as my bold call here at plus 195. Moving on to the next matchup. Not many left that actually have lines for us to talk about. So we will go with... I'm not going to do Sinner. I think Sinner ends up winning in straight sets. I didn't see enough lines on the Bublik one against School Cat. I think Bublik wins that one too. What else do we got? Yeah, you know what? We'll do one more. We'll go with the Royer against Chapo one. So for this one, Chapo's decent favorite, as Chapo is around minus 250, give or take. And you're looking at Royer, who is around plus 200, give or take. Now, Royer did a good job winning against Boo in straight sets in the first round. Chapo beat Fuchsovics. Fuchsovics got hurt. He was also exhausted after winning a title in Winston-Salem, and Chapo beat him. Now, Chapo, I know, was in really bad form before that. Lost to Nardi in his first match in Cincinnati. Lost to Tien in his first match in Toronto. After winning Los Cabos, he had not won a match. So it was a pretty, I'd say, ugly stretch there for him. Beat Fuchsovics, but am I going to read into it that much? Not really. I think Royer's alive in this one. Chapo, we know, is a head case who can fall apart any moment. You're looking at Royer, who I think is pretty underrated. He was okay in Winston-Salem, not really. I mean, he lost to Blanche. Blanche won an actual main draw match against Chorich. I understand the argument is, well, Chapo should win. You're right. He should win. Is he guaranteed to? I'm going to say no. I think that Royer can do some damage here. I think that Chapo, we know, can self-destruct at any given moment. I don't mind the over in this one. I think it might be a bit of a longer match there. If you want to go Chapo, I would take him to win and both players win a set at plus money. But that implies I actually trust Chapo to do what he's supposed to do, which is win. So I'll give Royer a puncher's chance here. I don't mind the spread maybe for games, but I think the over has some value. I think you might get a breaker in there too. So I don't mind the over as a main thought for that one. See M4, saying that Sinner team total under is a solid parlay piece. It might be. I think that, once again, the real question is, we know Sinner is going to probably win in straight sets. The question is, do I think that Popyrin is a good enough server to neutralize the return game for Sinner for at least 4 games, 5 games in a row? That's really the question here. We know that he's a good server. He looked good into the first round, but he was also against a guy who hadn't played in a while in Rusevori. So it's at 19.5. So you actually can afford one breaker 175. You just can't get 2. I don't mind it. It's minus 175. I think you'll get 175 or 76. Nothing more than that. So I do think you'll end up seeing Sinner win in straight sets. I don't mind that M4 for a parlay piece, but I didn't pick that as a lock and dog play or anything like that. But I think you might get one game there or one set that goes to a 7-4 Sinner. So that gets you to around 19. It's 19.5. So I don't mind that as a potential option for a parlay if you want to use that to reduce some juice on something else. Anyways, going to wrap it up for the second round preview. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks for the second round. Before we get to that, the reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, Throw Mess Mania, happening all summer long. 15 million prizes, 2 million for first place, and a waiver wire. No worries about trades. Best balls, that's way to play fantasy football. You can also use Underdog for pick'em entries. We're going to 500 times your money. They have tennis options. They have double faults. They have aces, breaks of serve. A lot of options there for Underdog. Check that out for your entries. And when you sign up for a new account, use the new offer that they have for new customers. Play just $5. Get $50 in bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa, because they're hosting for the biggest football contest for the upcoming NFL season. It's Circa Million, Circa 5, Circa Rondissimo, over $20 million guaranteed prizes. And a reminder, you can also sign up at Nevada, play for with the help of our proxy, go to footballcontest.com. Use the promo code SGP to get $50 off your proxy. Once again, contest does close on Saturday, September 6th, so get it now before the time runs out. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Finished going through the preview at the second round. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. So I skipped a couple matches because I was going to save them for the lock and dog. I'm going to go with the parlay for this one. For the lock, I'm going to go to the Walton match. Give me the over 3.5 sets, parlayed with Kashanov money line, and that pays out at minus 102 on FanDuel. Now, Walton has been playing well lately. However, he really never wins easily. Walton has lost at least one set in 12 of his last 13 matches, and he's favored in the match. He's minus 154. So when Walton does win, he does no-show a set. Almost guaranteed. So the fact is, I think Walton and Wong are similar. They're baseliners, and I do think you're going to end up seeing a bit of a marathon unfold. Walton, we know, is not afraid of punting sets, like I'm showing right now on the screen. Walton also played Wong earlier this year in Miami on hard court. Match went 3 sets. Wong, though, has been good. And the fact is, I think Wong's overall consistency behind the baseline can result in at least one set going in his favor. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I do think that a 4 or 5 setter is a pretty, I'd say, realistic outcome for what looks like a pretty even match on paper. Give me the over 3.5 sets to parlay leg for my first option. Then I'll throw it in with Kashanov money line because he's against Mychik. Mychik looked pretty good in the first 2 sets against Delian. I'd say the first set and a half. Got a bit dicey there at the end of the second set. Held on to win. But he lost a set to Delian, who is awful on hard court, the definition of a clay court specialist. And even when Delian won the third set, he blew about 5 set points before he finally converted. So Mychik held on for dear life and won. But Kashanov ended up beating Basavaretti, who's a pretty solid hard court player. He won in 4. The point is, this matchup might be close. We'll see. Face off, though, in Wimbledon, he buried Mychik, and I think that Kashanov's easily better on hard court than grass. Good enough for me. He's a decent favorite, about minus 350, give or take. I'll throw it in for the parlay. Think he'll end up winning in 3 or 4. So give me Kashanov money line with Walton over 3.5 sets as my lock at minus 102. For the dog, I'm going to go with 2 overs as well, but I'll take a slight wrinkle on it. For my dog, I'm going to go with Kim against Nakashima. I'll take Kim to win a set. With Fonseca against Macic, give me the over 3.5 sets, Makic, over 3.5 sets, and that pays out a plus 128. So Kim has been good lately, And you're looking at Nakashima, who went to 5 against De Jong. He did survive, but I think the matchup could be very close. Kim has been dangerous. Went through US Open qualifying without dropping a set. Beat Quinn in 4, who's also a decent server. I think he'll be able to get a set to go in his favor. If De Jong can get 2, I don't see why, once again, Kim cannot get 1. Nakashima has not really been dominant lately. He lost a set to blocks in Cincinnati, lost his Zverev in straight sets, beat De Jong in 3. The point is, he's not really winning many matches convincingly. He's lost at least 1 set in 4 straight, and Kim only lost 1 set in his first 4 US Open matches, including the qualifying, which he won all 3 in straight sets. He's playing well. I like him. Pretty solid challenger player. Think I want a set here against Nakashima, so I'll go with that as the first leg. And for Fonseca, said before, he somehow won in straight sets against Kecmanovic, even though he was down a break in the first set 5-2 and down 5-2 in the second set breaker. Kecmanovic handed the first 2 sets over to him, but Makic has been a bit injured lately, but he looked good in the first round. And you're looking at Makic, who has lost at least 1 set in 3 of his last 4. Fonseca, though, has lost at least 1 set in 6 of his last 7. The one exception was the first round match, where he should have lost at least 1 set to Kecmanovic in that one. So the point is, Fonseca, even if you're picking him to win the match, never makes it easy on himself, because the unforced error count can get very high, especially for 1 set. Give me Makic to serve well enough to win at least 1 set. Give me Fonseca to show enough firepower to win at least 1 set too. Give me over 3.5 as my main play for this one because of it. So once again, the dog parlay will be Kim to win a set against Nakashima and the Fonseca match over 3.5 sets at plus 128. So once again, the lock and dog for the show. The lock is going to be on Walton and Wong over 3.5 sets with Kashanov moneyline at minus 102. For the dog, I'm going to go with Kim to win a set and Fonseca match over 3.5 sets at plus 128. It's going to wrap it up for the show. Back once again for the third round of the US Open. Until next time, find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Find me on the MLB show. Find me on the WNBA show. And of course, find me on this show. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of